Lovely. Well, as you all know, the STAR program is more than just an accountability system, although that's a really important part of it, but it's also about making sure that you have the tools and the strategies that you need to ensure that you're successful. We want to set you up for success in achieving your goals. And I'm very biased, as you know, but I think that there's no other tool that is going to set you up more than success than understanding your own strengths and then learning how to use those and how to aim them at achieving your goals. So that's what the topic's about today, probably my favourite topic, and we'll work through that. Beck, I know that you have done your strength assessment and you were reminded of your top 5 as recently as last night. So are you happy to share, I guess, just your report in terms of were they accurate or was there any surprises in what you found?
Sure. So just to provide some context, so I did the strength assessment as part of a work exercise alongside my team, and so the purpose of that exercise was to uncover our own personal strengths and then consider them in the context of the team environment. So my 5 strengths were harmony, includer, positivity, responsibility, and empathy, which at the time I remember being really disappointed with, because I said they're all soft and mushy and I don't like it and I want something hardcore, I want something tough, and it was really interesting through discussing with my team that we don't all have the same strengths, and there are highlights in some areas than in others, and there are gaps in some areas that as a team we need to address and make sure that we've got the right strengths around the table for whatever we're dealing with at the time. But I think mine probably are true. I think I was a bit surprised that I guess I was disappointed that communication didn't land on there, because I really wanted that to be reflected in my strengths. But I think if I were to probably look at my top 10 or, the longer list, that's probably where that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've only just been given your top 5, and really that what tells the story of you is your top 10 and your bottom 5. So really, so you might find that it's sitting there right at number 6. And sometimes the order switches a bit depending on where we are in life and in our jobs and things. You might find that you are actually using more your communication strength more than your 5th strength, for example. So yeah, that might happen. So excellent. And so I guess what this is about for you and for others is about learning, okay, so you've got these, so how can you use them to achieve the goals that you have? So at the risk of making you feel very uncomfortable, and the risk of you falling asleep at this time of the morning, I just want you to close your eyes for a moment, because I want you to each think about a time in your life when you were completely in the zone. Something you're working on that's just all coming together. Try to think of a specific example. When you might be feeling really creative and the ideas are coming. It might be that you're just really productive and ploughing through the work, nailing the solution to a problem, just feeling energized and good about what you're doing. And I want you to remember some of the feelings that you had when you were there, in the zone, in flow with what you're working on. Okay, you can open your eyes. Did you each get a specific example, a memory? Yeah? Okay, I might get either one, Jill or Beck maybe, to talk about, share those feelings. What were those feelings that you had in the zone?
Energy.
Energy, excellent. Any other feelings?
Just feeling good, feeling responsible is the word that comes to mind. I don't know why that comes to mind, but whenever I'm in kind of a training session and I'm really just loving the role that I'm playing and educating people and helping them to reach their potential, that always really energizes me.
Excellent. Did it feel hard or easy, Jill?
Oh, easy. Piece of cake.
I love the feeling. It's at those times when, rather than watching a clock slowly tick by to 5, you just lose track of time. It feels so awesome. It doesn't feel like work at all. And I guess one of my favourite sayings is play to your strength, because that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like play. It doesn't feel like work. And so what we want to do is, when we look at the goals that you each have for the year, how can we play in achieving them? Rather than be another chore that I've got to do and tick off, how can we create strategies that you're going to enjoy and feel those feelings of being energized and responsible and enjoyment of what you're doing? So that's what this is all about. So Marcus Buckingham is a bit of a guru on all things strengths. And so if you ever get a chance to check out one of his TED Talks, I highly recommend it. But one of his favourite stories for me is he talks about a UK study where parents were asked, if your child came home with the following grades: English A, Social Studies A, Biology C, Algebra F, which grade would get the most attention from you? Now, the study didn't ask pick one and ignore all others. It said, hey, we get it, parents, you only have limited time and resources. Your child comes home with this report card. Where are you going to invest the most amount of your time and resources? Where's most of your attention going to go? And 76% of parents said the F, which means 76% of conversations around dining room tables with children are on their failings and their flaws. What if those same parents were talking to their children and investing their attention and energy into the English A? Wow, you've got some natural talents in here. Let's build on these. Let's explore these. Let's spend some time on these. Move over J.K. Rowling. There could be a new kid on the block. But too often, even though it makes common sense, it's not common practice. And so this is what this is all about. It's about recognizing that actually your greatest potential lies in the things that you're already good at. So I guess you're going to grow the most in the areas that you know the most. And so that's where you want to invest the most amount of energy. It's certainly not about ignoring the other areas. So it was all created by Donald Clifton, who is a bit known as the founder of positive psychology. And Donald was really fascinated by what would happen when we start focusing on what was right with people rather than fixating what was wrong with them. And he partnered with the Gallup Institute, and they have been studying human behaviour for 75 years. So it's based on 4 decades of research, the assessment tool that we use in this program. And that research isn't just asking a few people. It's been, as of June 2013, the research had been conducted across 2 million employees in 63 countries. So it's based on some serious research into how to maximise a person's potential, and what are the key characteristics of people that are successful. And what that research all found is that the key to success is understanding and applying talents and strengths. The foundation of what we're all about. So again, it's not about ignoring areas of weakness and head in the sand. It's about what we spend the most attention on, is focusing on the positives and where the potential is. And I think a great example, and apologies if I've shared this with any of you before, but a client I had last year, and for the client's privacy, we're going to have you. He was really struggling to lose weight. One of his goals was to lose weight for health reasons, and it was really impacting on his sense of well-being. And, it was a really important goal to him, but he'd been struggling with it with years with no success. Limited success, but then he would revert back. And so it was a real challenge for him and really starting to impact on his mental health. And so we looked at his strength profile, and what we discovered in his top 5 were activator, so love to take an idea to action, love to start something new, and love to get other people to act on an idea. He had input, which means he loved collecting new information, loved studies and stats, that was his thing. He also had learner, so liked to get quite deeply into understanding how things worked. And he had communication, loved to share information with others. In his bottom 5, should I say, he had focus, discipline and consistency, which means pretty much he didn't have focus, discipline and consistency. And so when we started to unpack some of the things he'd tried in the past, what we quickly discovered is he was a bit set up for failure, because all these strategies he'd tried in the past required focus, discipline, consistency, which were things that didn't come naturally to him. So he started to get a bit creative and looking at, well, could he achieve the same outcome, but by using his top 5 versus the things that he didn't have? And I love what he came up with. So he recognised that he was really good at starting something new, loved the weekend before a week, preparing what he'd do, mapping out his plans, doing all the research, filling the fridge with what it needed to be filled in. And he could keep it up for about 2 weeks before he lost momentum. So what he decided is that when he lost momentum, he would switch to something new. He'd use his activator skills and the fact that he loved collecting information and starting something new, but he would also use his communication skills. So he started blogging and doing a review on each of these different approaches. Became a bit of a health guru because of all the research he was doing for his blogs and the experimenting he was doing on himself. And not surprisingly, the weight did fall off. But I think what I found most interesting about watching this unfold was how energized and how much he was enjoying it. Instead of this whole having to lose weight is such a drag and a chore, he was loving it. Couldn't wait to write his blogs, couldn't wait to do his research. And I guess that's, you know, a really good example of why try to be something we're not when we can be more of who we already are. It's definitely the path of least resistance in achieving your goals. So that's what we really work on through this program. So in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing is looking at where your talents are, how can we build them to strengths, and how can we use them to be successful in achieving our goals. We tend to, over time, lose track of what our natural talents are. And again, going back to Marcus Buckingham, who's done some work in this area, I love what he says about from our early childhood, we have parents, well-meaning parents, but they're telling us what we need to be rather than celebrating who we naturally are, because they want the best for us. And then we get into high school and again, we're trying to fit in. And so we look for, well, what should we be? Or, you know, we might have talents that we want to downplay because we don't want to stand out. And then you start to leave high school and you go into your careers or to your study choices. And we're constantly thinking about what do we need to be to make a buck, to be successful in our careers. We start applying for jobs and we go, well, what are they looking for? And we put those sort of strengths on our resume and we start to lose touch with our natural abilities because over time they haven't been celebrated. And so the assessment tool is fantastic because it really taps into what are your natural abilities, not things that you've learned at work how to do, but things that just come really natural and easily to you. The retest reliability on the tool is fantastic. It's 0.60 to 0.80, which, you know, I'm not a statistician, but basically means that your results are pretty stable, and they're pretty stable from the age of 19. So it doesn't matter what different jobs you're in. It actually doesn't matter what mood you're in when you even undertake the assessment. A lot of people, clients that I have just recently, one called up and said, I was in a really bad mood that day. Can I just retake the test? And the reality is it's unlikely to change. I've done the test twice in 10 years, And during that time, I was living in a different country. I had a completely different job, different stage in my life. And the only change I had is my 6th and 7th strength switched. That's the only change I had in my top 10. So they're pretty stable, and it really does tap into what are those natural talents that you have. And that's why we use that, because it's based on research and it's incredibly reliable. So just to sum up what we're about and what we're going to be doing with this strategy is we're going to be tapping into where you're going to get your sources of energy from, because it's so important that achieving your goals and having the best year ever is something fun and that you enjoy doing and not another chore in already busy life. So we're going to be tapping into that because it is the path of least resistance. And so I know that you've undertaken your assessment, and now you get to sit down with me and we're going to do some coaching around, okay, well, what are your goals for the year? And how can we make sure that you're playing to your strengths throughout the year, because that is going to be the most rewarding experience for you. So we're going to stop the recording, Jill. Thanks for those who have tuned in because they've missed the meeting and are listening. Are you